All right, class, so today we've already talked about why fluency is so important. And I showed you an example of why fluency is so important. And we all agreed that if we read with fluency, it sounds better and it's a little easier to comprehend. So today in reading group, we're gonna talk about that a little bit more. So in front of you, you should have 2 sheets of paper. Everybody make sure you have 2. You should have one that says Alaska Adventure at the top, and it's a reading passage. And then under that, you should have a worksheet that has 2 sides. Can everyone make sure you have 2 sides? Good, awesome. All right, so before we read, we're gonna talk about a few key vocabulary words that we're gonna need for this lesson today. Has anybody ever been to Alaska? No, I haven't either. All right, does anyone know where Alaska is? It's in America, very good. It is a state, so everybody look up at our map over here. All right, so what color is the United States? It's blue, very good. All right, so above the United States we have Canada. Below the United States is Mexico. Now there's a part all the way up there that's blue, just like America, but it's on the other side of Canada. That is Alaska. So it's all the way up there, but it's a part of us. So let's talk about these words. All right, can everyone see? Yeah? Okay, the first word is Anchorage. Can you say that with me? Anchorage, good. Anchorage is a city that's in Alaska. It's actually the biggest city in Alaska. Anchorage, Alaska. Okay, the next one is Seward. Say it with me. Seward. Good. Seward is also a city in Alaska. It's not that far from Anchorage, but it's smaller for sure. All right, the next one is the Kenai Mountains. Can you say that? The Kenai Mountains. So that's a mountain range that is in Alaska. It's got lots of cool mountains in it. All right, so the next word is salmon. Has anyone ever heard of salmon? Yeah, we've all heard of salmon. Okay, salmon is a fish, but it's a funny looking word, right? Because we don't say salmon like it's spelled, S-A-L-M-O-N, right? We say salmon. The L is kind of silent, right? So we got to keep that in mind. All right, the next one is the Denali National Park. Can you say that? Denali National Park. Very good. The Denali National Park is a huge national park that's in Alaska, and actually it has Mount McKinley in it. Does anyone know why Mount McKinley is important? That's right, it's the tallest mountain in North America, which is what our map is of. So in all of this, it's the very tallest mountain. Isn't that cool? All right, let's go to the next one. The next one is peninsula. We've talked about peninsula before, but let's all look at it. Peninsula, say it with me. Peninsula. Peninsula is a mass of land, so a little bit of land that has water on all 3 sides. So let's look at our map. Does anyone see anything that looks like a peninsula on our map? Florida, very good. So Florida's a peninsula. There's also a peninsula in Alaska. See up there? See that peninsula on the, yep, perfect. All right, the next word, we only have 2 more. Let's see, the Bering Sea. The Bering Sea is a really big sea that's in Alaska. It's very important. The next one is our big word of the day. Ready? The Aleutian Archipelago. The Aleutian Archipelago, very good. All right, so let's look at all these spellings and make sure that we have them all right. There's weird words here, right? Yeah, so most of them are proper nouns. They're names for things like Anchorage, Seward, the Kenai Mountains, the Denali National Park, the Bering Sea, and the Aleutian Archipelago. So it's not so important that you know what these mean. You need to know that they are cities and that it's mountains and that it's a national park. You don't need to have to point them out on the map, right? We just need to know a little bit of background knowledge so that we know what they are when we read them, okay? Perfect. Does anyone have any questions? Awesome. All right, I'm going to put our list over here so that we can all see it as we're reading. All right, so what I'm going to have you do now is make sure everybody's on side 1. Show it to me. Show me. Yep, side 1. So we're going to read this passage. I want you to turn with your reading partners, and I want you to read this passage, all right? After you're done reading with your partner, you're going to do the first side of questions all by yourself. There's only 5, so do the best that you can. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to do all of that, and then we're going to come back together, okay? So go ahead. So after 5 minutes has elapsed. Now, we're gonna flip our text over, okay? Did anyone have, let's take a scale. I wanna see a thumbs up, a middle thumb, or a thumbs down on how those questions went. How did it go? It was a little rough? Yeah. All right, so we're in the middle and we're going down. So this is a very hard passage and there's lots of things we don't know. We talked about a lot of them, but there's lots of information running through your head, right? And we read it so fast and we only had 5 minutes and that's very stressful. So we're gonna talk about a way to make that better today, okay? So we're gonna see if this is better. All right, so flip your passage over. Now, does anyone notice anything about this passage? What's different? There's slash marks, very good. So in all of these sentences, there's slash marks everywhere. It looks like a mess, doesn't it? Yes, okay. So here's how it works. We've talked about some stuff before where we have to pause in our sentences. We've talked about these things before, right? Can we give some examples? Where do we have to pause? When we see a what? A comma, very good. And what's another one? A period, good. What, does anyone remember the other ones? The other ones are hard. Anyone remember? A semi what? A semicolon, good, and a colon. So those all are things that make us have to pause. But we also have to pause just naturally in some places. So these slash marks all represent a pause that we're gonna take. Now there's two types, notice. There's one, it's just one slash, and there's some that have two slashes together, right? All right, so when we have one slash, that means it's gonna be a little pause. We're not gonna stop like we just finished a sentence, because that would make it a sentence fragment if we did that in the middle of a sentence most of the time, right? So we're not gonna pause big, we're just gonna have a little pause to let our brain digest what we just read. Now when we get to the two slash marks, what do we think is gonna happen? You're right, it's gonna be a bigger pause. All right, so this is gonna be all through the text. Now, to help us remember, we're gonna use some hand signals today. All right, so remember, we're gonna have one finger on the text and we're gonna follow it through so that we don't get lost. Now, our other hand is gonna be doing something today. Normally we keep it in our laps or on our desks or we do whatever we want with it. Today I'm gonna have you do something specific, okay? So today, as we read, when we get to one slash mark, we're gonna hold up a 1. Just a little finger to remind ourselves to pause, just a little. Then as we keep reading, when we get to a 2 slashes, we're gonna hold our hands up like this in a stop sign to remind ourselves to stop for real, okay? So let's practice, ready? If you see a 1, good. If you see a stop, good. All right, now let's play a little game. Are you ready? I'm gonna say something and you're gonna do it with your fingers. I'm gonna say 1 or 2. Are you ready? 1, good. 2, good. 2, good. 1, good. 1, 1, 1, 2. 2, 1, 2, 3. I got you, there is no 3. Okay, just kidding, move on. Let's read it. So I'm gonna read the first 2 paragraphs and I want you to follow with this finger on your paper and I want you to follow with your hand signals as well. And I want you to listen to how I'm reading it, okay? Ready? Here we go. Jake Mays and his dad spent 2 weeks visiting Alaska. They flew to Anchorage and then took a train south to a lodge in Seward, a small harbor town surrounded by the Kenai Mountain Range. From there, they took day trips around the area to see and experience the sights. Jake found it all so enticing that he never wanted to leave. Every day brought a new adventure. They traveled by ferry and sailboat, on the marine highways, through straits and inlets. They paddled sea kayaks, up narrow fjords, lined with sea cliffs. They saw whales, otters, puffins, sea lions, and eagles. They spent a day on a fishing schooner catching salmon for dinner. Jake snapped pictures of every new vista. All right, so we're gonna stop right there. Is everyone understanding how this works? You did a good job. That was a good job following along. We all participated. That was awesome. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to start back at the beginning with your partner, same partner we used last time, and I want you to read through. So remember, alternating means one of you is going to read one and the other one of you is going to read the next one. So every time you come to a new indentation, a new paragraph, you're going to switch people so that we all have practice reading this way, okay? Now, no matter who's reading, I want you both to be doing your hand signals so that we get it in our heads, all right? Now, just like last time, when you finish, you're gonna move on and do the questions on side 2. Now, they're the same questions, but we're gonna see if we can do them a little better this time now that we've given our brains these pauses, okay? All right, so go ahead. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask me, all right? Go ahead. All right, so now that we've finished that, we've done all of our questions. Give me a thumbs up, a sideways, or a down. How did the questions go the second time? They were good? It was better? Okay, good. I'm seeing lots of better. So, do we think it was better? Give me some reasons it might have been better. Tell me why you think it was better. The pauses, right? And we knew the questions, right? Because we were looking for the answers. Good. Okay, so there was a couple things going on here. First of all, this was better this time because we had more fluency, right? We read more fluency. We read like we were in a conversation, right? Because we pause in the middle of some of our sentences as we're speaking, right? Okay, so that was good. And we also noticed, you're right, even though I didn't say this at the beginning, it was better because you knew the questions. You knew what you were looking for. So this is another one of our testing strategies, right? So we haven't had a huge lesson on this, but when we take tests or when we have that EOG at the end of the year, when we take that test and we read passages like this, we're not going to have the slash marks. But one of the things that you can do is before you read the passage, you can flip to the second page. You can read the questions so that you know what you're looking for. That does help us. So there was a couple things that helped us, right? But I'm glad that it was easier. All right, so now we're going to go over these answers so we can talk about them. And then I want you to flip over and we're going to see if we got more answers right the first time or if we got more answers right the second time. But I think we all know we probably got more right the second time, right? Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that.